Wait, like, you didn't just natively roll into the next chapter, like, the
Uh,
next book? You're like, "No, no, no, you have to go back to the main." Doesn't say anything about continue on or how to continue, it's like, you literally just booted us from the freaking game. Hello and welcome to another Dead Pixel. We're a podcast about video games, anime, entertainment, life, a little bit everything in between. I'm your host as always, Joe, and with me, the gentleman who is still eating all the Halloween candy and taking all those from his coworkers. Nick, how you doing, Nick?
I'm doing pretty good. Actually, we do have a so a couple days ago, um, there, there's somebody at work who brought a he brought a chair that wasn't being used over from another desk, and he put
Yeah.
he put a pumpkin head, that like a plastic pumpkin head, and he dumped a bunch of candy in it, and then put put a bunch of candy around the outside of it, and we've just been eating on that for like since Halloween, basically. Um, it's all wrapped, so it lasts forever. But like after he did that, I was like, so we just made like a candy cornucopia, huh? um, and it's been fun. It's been good. Like somebody else added a bunch of I think a big bag of the Milky Way minis or whatever to it, and there's Jolly Ranchers and stuff. It's been pretty good. It was a good idea actually. So definitely helps me get to the afternoons.
I was gonna say, we'll wait to hear back from your dental report, in a couple months.
Yeah, I do have a cleaning coming up in December, so I'm gonna have to yeah, I'm gonna have to get right. Actually, like the place that I go to, it used to be like way down south, and because I used to live down south, so I started going there, and then I moved up north, and then I was like, dang it, so it was either shift to a new one and make them send all my documents to someplace new, or just keep going, and I just only go like twice a year or whatever, so it's like, well, F it, just stick with it. And so I learned one day before my last cleaning, I learned like they've moved, and I was like, okay, where'd they move to? Oh, they moved for a little further north. Okay, so it's a little closer. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a little better, I guess. So, but I go over there, and the old place was just sort of like an office. It was like an officey type place. It had a terrible parking lot. It wasn't very comfortable. It's a place you go every, you know, like twice a year, and it's like, well, whatever. But the new place was like brand new, and like a new building, like a new build, and a new parking lot with like lots of space. And I was like, dang, this is really nice. This is really nice. I'm glad I stuck with you guys. Um, so yeah, I'm happy, and I'm looking forward to going and getting my teeth cleaned.
For me, my pro move this year was to sit my kids down before Halloween, and because I'm tired of having like freezer bags of suckers that we never get to because they're like, "Oh yeah, suckers," and they're like kids, you don't even know how to eat the sucker properly, like freaking drooling and stuff, or like you're like
Oof.
and take you just make a mess in the back seat of the car. I'm like, no, no, no. Here's what we're gonna do. Here is a collection, a sampler platter, if you will, like of chocolates. See the wrapper color? Here's what it tastes like. Mm, Keep that in your brain. You know? Blue is crunch. Orange, Reese's, it's a Reese's. Like it's like yellow, Butterfingers. Got it. It's like Snickers. These ones have nuts in them. You're gonna like these ones. Don't give them to your buddy. Your buddy will die. You know.
Manslaughter.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is it's like all right. So once they associate flavor and like these are chocolates, these are much easier to eat. I'm like, I guarantee you'll eat more of these than you will the suckers in this house. And so this year, after doing the rounds, yeah, we got a lot more chocolate in the bin, which is great because I can just steal a lot more without feeling bad. I'm not going to take my time with the sucker, but I will take some of those chocolates off their hands. It's
Yeah,
for them. It's for their future teeth.
yeah. You're taking one for the team. You're trying to protect your children from themselves by eating, but you don't want to throw the chocolate away because that's like American pig capitalist bad. You still have to clean your plate. There's starving children in some other country. Um, yeah.
But yep, that was it. It's just like, yeah, now make sure they know what to look for and prep them properly. I'm like, okay. So, well, let's see here now. Speaking about prepping properly, what kind of builds you got going on in Hades 2 here?
Okay, so I've been playing Hades 2 for 26 hours, and I still haven't beat it. I'm pretty close. I thought that I looked it up whenever I first started playing it, that it was about a 25-hour game, but I think that's like so. So now I look it up, and it's like I get different reports. So I think How Long to Beat has it a little bit too long, like 35 hours or something for main plus sides. I've seen as little as like 19 hours for main story only. So I've seen like main plus sides is like 26-ish hours, and I can feel that I'm pretty close to the end. Like I've gotten to the final boss. Well, in one way, but there might actually be more to it. I expect that so I'm 26 hours in. I expect that I would probably need to play this about 30 hours in order to actually beat it. Um,
All right, because
it's
currently on How Long to Beat, they have it at main story being 26 and a half, main plus sides 45, and then a completionist, which is 104, which that's all the grinding and stuff usually entails with those games to go, and also RNG, chance, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that How Long to Beat seems kind of crazy for the main plus sides. If I have to play this game for another 20 hours to actually beat it for the first time and see credits or whatever it is, that just sounds crazy. Maybe even 35 seems kind of like a stretch. I really hope not. I think that I am probably going to give it a couple more hours, a few more runs, and then I think I'm going to put it down because I have too many other things to play, and I just don't really want to play it that much anymore. So that being said, it is a good game. It is a really good game. Like, uh, I only played a couple hours, handful of hours of Hades One, um, so I don't really know all that much about it story wise. I do remember the mechanics, and I do think that Hades Two basically takes all those mechanics and just upgrades them, makes them better in a lot of ways, and kind of skips like a lot of the early stuff. It's like, hey, we're just gonna go ahead and give you this, and we're gonna power you up in different ways later. Um, so so gameplay wise, it's the same but better. Uh, for as far as I can tell. I haven't read any reviews on this, so I'm not sure if I'm like totally off base. And people are like, "Oh, the first one is whatever or whatever." But like on Metacritic, I think Hades 2 is the highest rated game of the year. That is like a real game that really came out in 2025, not a like re-release of something or whatever. So, and I think that's pretty fair. I think it kind of goes along with like nobody is really going to give this game a negative review. Like I could like so it's going to get, at the very worst, hater is probably going to give it like a 6, which is still a positive review. So I think it's kind of benefiting from, that kind of weakness that is in the critic aggregators. Um I think this game is probably, to me, it's probably like about an 8. Um, if you said it was an 8.5, I would probably squint at you. If you were more along the lines of a 7.5, I would probably be like, well, that might even be a little bit low. I think it's a really good game. I think it's definitely, in terms of value, I think it's like a 9 or so, because I mean, what was it, like $25 brand new? Um $30. I forget how much it was, but whatever.
It's 30. It was 30 from on Steam when it first came out. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So 30 is a great value proposition. This game is super fun. The story is good. The characters are great. And like I said, the gameplay is really good and stuff like that. So from that side, it is a really great game. You could definitely do worse than this, basically on a lot of other games. Um, but it is doing a lot the same as Hades One. Uh, it is expanding that stuff, but it is like, okay, yeah. So if I had played all the way through Hades One, um, unless I just really loved it, I probably would not really love this one as much, just because it's like, well, yeah, that's cool and that's good, but a lot of it is really sort of similar in a lot of ways. So I don't know. It's overall though, it's a really good game. You know, uh, it's super fun, and um, I don't have any complaints with any of the characters. I don't have any complaints with any of the story stuff, though I don't really feel like I'm super invested in it either. I'm kind of like, okay, that's what you're doing. Okay, well that's kind of cool. Okay, this character's kind of cool. There's there's not uh there's not like, oh, I really got to find out what happens, which is why I'm kind of like, I may not finish this game because there's not so much investment. Whereas Yote, it's like, even if I couldn't beat Saito, on hard mode, I was going to lower the difficulty and just finish the story at some point, because I just wanted to see what happened with that. This game, not quite so much, but yeah, I think this game is it's going to be pretty high on my list for game of the year. I think it can probably crack the top five, uh, but it's hard. It's hard, man. It's like how much more do you say about a game that everybody knows is good and is kind of doing more of what it was before? Yeah, I think it's pretty. I think it's a pretty solid eight for me.
All right. Cool. Well, I do hope you finish it. I'm just kind of curious what your thoughts, especially since you didn't really get too deep into the first Hades. Yeah, I'm. We'll talk more about it for sure when we have the game of the year discussions.
Yes, for
All
sure.
right. So I talked a little bit about this last week. How for my multiplayer, kind of game of the month or is currently as Dusk Falls. It's a choose your own adventure multiplayer kind of game. Uh, it's so after playing uh, like Man of Medan and Little Hope, uh, we were a buddy of mine. We were going to go to the next one, which was a House of Ash, I think it is, and uh, you know, due to the holiday season, they're like, well, we're just going to put that on a holiday sale, and we're going to take it away from the PlayStation Extra as a group. So they're like,
Mm,
oh, you guys, you really suck. Uh, so
they
we
got you.
decided to play a similar game, and that was from As Dusk Falls. It's less game, more just the interactions. So if you don't like the other games where you have to, because it requires you to walk around and investigate, and you just want to just get straight to the story beats, this is all that. This is essentially uh, a choose your like. This is even closer to Dragon's Lair or something like that, where it's you're watching everything. It's just one long cutscene, and then at given times, you get to click on places to investigate or pick between those kind of options to do, or it'll give you a choice between with sometimes with a timer, sometimes without, to either choose one option or choose another, and it's up to 8 players. You can actually use, like, your smartphones and stuff like that to, Bluetooth in, so you can use those as your, voting, devices, because that's all the controller is you pick between how many, options, and each person gets to have an override, function. So if I know that you're probably gonna pick, like, you wanna help this person out, and I absolutely hate that person, so when I get to that, point in the game, I can immediately It's triangle on the PlayStation, but it's like hit the triangle, block you, and like nope, we're all going with my decision. So tough, and it's kind of a fun little mechanic. Though my buddy did it because they knew exactly what I was going to pick, and I'm like, why are you doing this? You are hurting us all. And sure enough, later on, it came back to bite us. Um, it's just like if you didn't give that person that type of agency, it completely changed the way they thought. So technically, later in the game, they chose to be more independent. And I don't know, the game is a quirky, fun little story. Essentially, it's you're following. There's something like uh 8 different people. It's a family moving from California to St. Louis, and as they're going through Arizona, uh, their car breaks down. They're involved in like a sideswipe. Um, Turns out the people who sideswipe them are uh, 3 brothers. 2 of the older. It's one of those local small town. I forget their names now, but like those O'Malley boys or something like that. Always causing trouble. And the youngest is of course the more quiet and chill, like the kind one, while the other two are their own different versions of angst and anger. So they end up robbing the local sheriff, who happens to be a dirty cop, and so they're being pursued by the police, while the family from California ends up having to stay up at a hotel to get their while they're getting their vehicle, fixed. While the brothers all roll into the hotel because they need a place to hide from the cops, causing a hostage situation. And it's an engaging story. They do some like flashback scenes, so you can learn a little bit more about the group, the family from California. It's a father, mother, daughter, and grandpa. An estranged. It's the husband's father, who apparently had disappeared for a long time and recently shown up because now he has cancer. And he's just like oh, I have nobody, and I know I've abandoned you all your life, but let's reconnect now. Uh, while you get to figure out why the boys are stealing to begin with, and then there's the hotel manager and her aide, I guess, like handyman around the place. So it is a fast paced enough story, and it's engaging. I think we did everything in probably 4 hours roughly. Um, the it starts out like it starts out at the end, so it's not a spoiler to say it starts out with the daughter as an older person. So the little girl from California, it's her as a I don't know, teenager, young adult. Or she could be like a college student. It's kind of hard to tell. The only thing is, if you're looking for quality animation or quality like graphics, this isn't going to be it. This is done as a kind of a colored, like a washed out animation style. So all the drawings are like a watercolor esque or like a oiled smear aesthetic, and they're done in PowerPoint slide fashion. So
Oh,
you don't see someone walk across the room. You see them flash to them turning 180, then the next card of them skipping like further in depth, and then making it to the end of the room. So
oh,
it's
dang,
kind of
okay.
like that.
Okay, yeah,
So
because like it looks kind of rotoscoped, but I thought it would be moving, but it's okay. So it's all still images.
Yeah, and it could be roscope. It's kinda weird because you'll see their eyebrows, and the eyebrows have a very distinct, like, dotted line around certain people or something like that. It's yeah, it kinda reminds me of, like, it's a comic book format, or it
Right.
reminds me of, like, the cutscenes for the original Max Payne. Um, Though I felt like that had more emotion and more depth than than this. So, the thing is you kinda learn who you like, who you don't like, as you engage with the brothers or the police. You're like, "Okay, I really don't like this person." So, it just happened to be the person I'm playing with, my friend. They are in agreement with me on most things,
Hmm.
and so we got along pretty well. We didn't have to, certain, insignificant options, it'll give you a 50-50 toss up. So if you like, oh, we have to escape the office. Let me try look the door, or let me try the desk, or like look on the shelf. And so whatever you pick, if you pick one, and if you pick the desk and I pick the shelf, um, it'll then start to blink back and forth, kind of like a RNG, and then it'll just randomly stop on one of us, like roulette style. Uh, my friend was player number one, and there was a heavy emphasis on player one winning most of those face-offs. Just saying. So for me, if I was going to if I wanted to be determined and be like, I'm picking what I want to pick, that would be why I'd choose an override. So I don't have to gamble a 50-50, coin toss. And then this would also be amplified by how many other people. So certain things would also be majority votes. So if you're playing with like five people, certain decisions, or especially the key decisions, would have to be a majority. Uh, the majority votes instances are not timed. There's no countdown timer. It's just you can take all the time you want. We didn't realize that because at the time it's like, oh, it's an extreme tense moment. The screen's kind of all blurred, like a motion blur effect. Be like, also, you got to pick something. And so I would choose one thing, they would choose another, and then all of a sudden it would just like clear up, and the tension would be kinda lessened, and it'd be like, and it'd say on the top, "It has to be majority vote." Like, so you have
Oh,
to so for us, we'd have to pick the same thing, which was like, "Oh, well, dang, okay, now we gotta talk about it." Now we get to play, we can play debate and see if I can win you over on my side. Usually that didn't matter enough, so it's so long as we'd be like, "Well, what about this?" I'm like, "Alright, fine, you won, I got it. Alright, I'll choose that for this time." Um so yeah. Anyways, it was roughly 4 hours. Probably a little less, maybe a little more, depending on how you want to play or who you're playing with. We get to the end, and like chapter three, for the route we did, which is after every little chapter, you get to see the routes, the decisions you did, which was really nice, like the branching paths, and it'll say like when you chose to do this, it'll say like this is the percentage of people who chose to do the same thing as you, um, and then you can see that there was like, oh, if I chose the other thing, there was actually more branching paths from there, but then you can see how certain ones like align back to the back to the center, or at the end, depending on what major events you did, you had this many outcomes towards the final scene. And all right, so the big climactic spot ends, and it does a hard cut, just cut to black, and then it flashes forwards to to the main girl, and she does some emo monologue thing, and it just ends. And we're like, and it cuts to credits. Says it said like book one, collision, rolled through, and we're like, all right, is that it? Like that can't be it, right? And the credits roll by, kicks us to the main screen. What the ever living crap? We're like, this, like, we both jumped to our phones. We're like, this can't be the end of it, right? And then I just went ahead and I went to level select. And then there's a whole book two. Just like book two is called expansion, and that's it. It's just like, wait, like, you didn't just natively roll into the next chapter, like, the next
oh,
book. You're like, "No, no, no, you have to go back to the main." It doesn't say anything about continue on or how to continue. It's like, you literally just booted us from the freaking game, and I'm like, had we not stopped to really care about, like, or like, we would have just been like, well, that was just lame, and just bounced and been like, "Dad, you remember that game? Oh, that game sucked. It just ended just like garbage." So, I mean, the game doesn't suck, but had that been the actual ending, and it's the way the game made it feel like to us, so we still have a second half to play, but we literally spent the rest of that evening being like, all right, looking through, trying to like, wait, what? There these different endings to the game aren't matching up with what we had. So that's when I, like I said, that's, you have to go to the level select, click book two, continue from there. And I will probably come back to you in a future cast and explain my full feelings on the full game. But it could have ended really badly. Once again, not a lot of people were really singing praises about this game, but hey, it's fun enough, and especially if you're playing with a friend or a group of friends, I can see this being a good couch party game. Or like
mm,
if you just kind of testing people out, um, you really get the sense of like how people react in stressful situations, because there's a situation where like, oh, do you run forward or do you stay and hide, like something like that. And at moments like that, my buddy and I might have picked something different, and then we would just leave it to the coin toss, to the roulette thing, to determine our outcome. uh, or like do you find like there's relationship troubles? How do you handle the relationship? Well, depending on what kind of experience you have personally, uh, maybe if you've had a bad relationship and that's still fresh, maybe one of your friends might choose a lot of negative options, and you can really see that. And at the same time, you may or may not agree with them, which was entertaining on itself. So once again, I found it to be a good one of these games. And because there's not actual gameplay as like walking around and investigation, it made it a lot more smooth. Um, having played like the Man of Medan and stuff like that, it's like, sometimes you get more tense atmosphere by walking around being like, oh no, what's gonna pop up around the corner? What's going on? But there's more jank that could be involved in that. While this is just strictly, like a cutscene from start to finish, where you get to then choose your branching paths. Um, so it has its own charm because of that, its own simplicity, but it's equally entertaining. So, all right. And right now, it's for anyone with PlayStation Plus extras or premium or whatever that's available. So, it's not, and it used to be on Game Pass. I don't know if it still is. That's where I remember first seeing it on Game Pass. Just never got around to it, and like looking back at it, like because of how that weird that book one, book two thing was, it doesn't seem like those books were released. I thought maybe they were DLC dropped separately, like episode one, episode two. It doesn't appear to be that way. It just seems to have been released whole, just as two separate books, which
It
I don't know. It's
maybe it
weird. Maybe
started
it was originally built that way, yeah, like
yeah,
a
it started
Kickstarter.
development that way, but like that's pretty bad to I mean, look, like QA should have caught that at the very least, if not, drafting of the like of the charter and stuff, like figuring out how they were gonna do the game. It's like, hey, whenever chapter one ends, it should go into chapter two or whatever. But or if we want to give the player like a break, we should say, hey, go to chapter two, press triangle, go back to the main menu, press square, something like that. It's very weird. If nothing else, if nothing beyond that, then like, hey, like a some message at the end saying chapter two
So,
is in the main menu, and then go back to the main menu. It's like,
giving the
yeah,
benefit of the doubt, it could have been there, and maybe I just missed it, but my buddy who pays more attention to that stuff, they missed it too then, if that was the case.
yeah, okay.
Like, if
Well,
you I can very much see someone, like, rewinding it and be like, "It's right there, clear as day." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, my bad, I just didn't pay attention." Like,
it was
how I
late.
am with the beginning of the movie. When you start name dropping, like, producer, executive
Okay.
producer, like, a lot of times I won't even pay attention to that, I'll just be looking at the movie, the actual imagery, and so it's I can see that being the case, that I might have missed it, but at the same time, my friend would have probably caught it. But it was just such a jarring, abrupt ending for the first part, and for it not to naturally roll into the second part, because it did kick us to the main screen,
Yeah.
which like there should have been no reason to kick us to the main screen. They could have just kicked us to the next one, like just auto roll in. Even if you wanted to show the credits for the book one, the collision, that's fine. Show us the credits now. Just let's continue to the second one right off the bat. That way it's a clear indication that hey, there's more here. But when you show credits like that, it makes it feel like it's a finished product. This is it. This is done. I'm like, that's a choice. That is the choice would have been better had you not had this epilogue emo narration at the end, or like, it's supposed to be like, I don't know, it's weird. And I think that's part of if they ended at the cliffhanger of what our ending was and it didn't flash forward, uh that would have been more of an acceptable ending.
Okay.
I don't want to say it because there's only a handful, like there seems to be uh like three particular endings for that chapter, for that book one. Um, so I'm kind of curious how it would play out. I think in one way or another, certain things have to happen, but it's just like, yeah, it's weird. It's one of those things that I kind of want to break it down. I do not want to play through the whole darn game again just to see all the all the options.
Right.
Um, and at the same time, I'm also too lazy to just go ahead and look all up all the particular options in that one. But it's I'd rather physically go through it than just YouTube it all. Especially since some of the choices that we picked, uh, having you and I have recently just played Man of Medan. So it's my second time playing it recently, but I switched players. I played the first time around, I was the host,
Hmm.
and now I let you host so I can be the second party. And I at least experienced a lot of the other side of the story, which was entertaining enough for me. And uh, we experienced some major jank in that too. But at the same time, it's
I've I've failed to kill Julia, but you know that's
I thought you were gonna most definitely get the younger brother Brad done in, and I'm like, oh wow, and then we kept someone alive that I didn't even know you could like. I didn't keep him alive the first time. I got the trophy for keeping the main core people alive, and I'm like, you one of the bad guys, Junior, you're able to keep him alive. Or like, oh wow, and hey, if you
yes.
sorry if it's a spoiler, but it's just like I'm like, oh dang, he lived. I don't really care, but okay, you know.
See. I wanted to trade Junior for Julia or Julia for Junior. I was dead set on trying to off her, but she made it through thanks to your good choices.
Yeah,
Yeah.
once again, it's it's one of those. Uh, I feel like I'm hopeful for their new game coming out,
Mm.
um, which is um,
So this
it's that
isn't the
cosmic
same
horror.
makers, or is this the same makers of the Dark Pictures anthology?
No, so as Dusk Falls is developed by Interior Nights.
Okay.
Um, so the uh, the Dark Picture anthology. Um, Now that is Supermassive Games,
Okay.
not to be confused with Supergiant, which is Hades.
Yeah. Yes.
So
There's so many
so yeah,
supers.
super yeah. Well, it's especially when they come out roughly around the same time as each other, it gets a little confusing. Uh, so the new one coming out is Directive 8020,
Mm.
and that's supposed to be slated for 2026.
Okay.
Um, and so that's like the most that's going to be the latest in their Dark Pictures anthology. It's supposed to be more of a cosmic horror, um, something it's a horror thing in space. So I think Event Horizon vibes, which I'm all down for. I'm like, that's great. You can do a lot of messed up stuff in space, and you don't have the excuse of run away, leave the haunted house or whatever. Like leave the town.
Yeah. Yeah. This
Um,
actually does seem. I mean, the one we just played, Man of Medan, was pretty fun, but I'm excited too for this because I'd never played one of these games before. So now that I played Man of Medan, and I can kind of really more accurately picture what 8020 is going to be like, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's once again, it's especially since it's I hadn't played one that was made for the PlayStation 5. Because
Mm.
the first couple were PS4 games,
Right.
and like I think probably House of Ash was probably PS5. Um, Unfortunately, and then there was the Devil in Me, which was the most recent one. Uh, so actually no, House of Ash was still PS4, or at least cross gen. So not knowing for them to be able to make a strict, ground up PS5 game, would the visuals would look really good. Hopefully the jank would be less, um, because
Hmm.
having certain parts of that Man of Medan just not work properly, like go up to a curtain. Like for me, during my playthrough, like I remember my buddy talking about a curtain, and I'm like, I found a curtain through the other game. I'm like, oh, this must be the curtain you're talking about. Well, it worked for me. I'm like, no, no, different curtain altogether. But it's like grab it and pull, and it's just like you're trying to pull and just nothing's happening. Just or during certain scenes, just like the screen. Uh, Player two hasn't caught up to player one, or like there's a weird cutscene issue. So player two just has to sit there and stare at either a blank screen or just some random like default art or something. Like
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
like the camera panned and stopped. That's exactly, and then you're just stuck there, or you got stuck in one of the earlier ones. You're like, and you're kind of freaking out. Like, I think we just got to reset this. I'm like, no, dude, it just happened. You're just stuck there until they're done getting the oxygen tanks prepped. Like, trust me, this is just something you're just gonna like. I think it just busted. I'm like, no, it happened to us too.
Okay.
Like we reloaded it back in our playthrough.
Yeah, yeah. Because the first time you told me that, you're like, it's just got to load through. I was like, no, I really think that it's messed up, but it really was like just a very long sequence that you just had to kind of sit through until it was all done. Those kind of things. I mean, those are the bigger problems with that game. I don't know how easy those things would be to fix, but the things like there's like little parts where when you succeed, it'll tell you it will pop up places or pop up and say you failed, and it won't punish you and you didn't fail
Oh,
or whatever. It just pops
the
up.
heartbeat. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So just so in those portions and other little portions throughout the game, I'm kind of like, yeah, I feel like one more pass on some of these things. I mean, I'm not a developer, so I don't know how hard it would be to fix those things, but I feel like there's a lot of places where one more pass, just fixing the code that, going into the code and fixing the word that pops up during that section would really be not that hard to change. But, I guess when the budget runs out, the budget runs out, and that's the way it is.
Yeah, it was one of those things that that failure thing in question for those who haven't played, who are thinking about playing it. There's a heartbeat, little mini game where you're
Mm,
just supposed to, that you see the multiple beats of the heart, and you're supposed to just press the button in time so you can keep calm because and once you succeed, when you're playing on the internet with your friend and you both succeed, the cutscene will continue flawlessly, no breaks, no interruptions. But on the top corner, it'll say the opposing person failed.
yeah.
So in this case,
For both
it
of
said
us.
Nick failed,
Yeah.
and then on Nick's side, it said I failed. And so I realized this the first time through because I was playing with a friend, my friend who I play with. They're not good at quick time events or button, like those button prompts. So I'm like, okay, I guess we just failed. And then after like the third time it happened, one of these breathing situations, I'm like, way to fail. And they're like, it said you failed. I'm like, okay. And so like, have we been doing the button pressing wrong? Have we not supposed to be, tapping the button on beat? Are we supposed to like press down and then release on the next one? So the next breathing section we had, we did that. We pressed and held, and it immediately just stopped the whole event. It was green turned red for a minute. It cut the action. Like we had to run abruptly, and we're like, oh, let's reload. And then we did the whole thing properly. And we're like, okay, nope, it's a very noticeable difference when you fail.
Yeah.
So every time you succeed in the heartbeat thing, it'll say you failed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this is how do you get something so simple wrong? Um,
Yeah.
and
I do,
it's a weird.
I do think the core of that game is very good. And if the other games are like that, they get the story down properly, where it's not too big for its britches, and it's not too much bread for too little butter. It's like just enough, and so they really know what they're going for in those games, and that's what's good about, at least about that one. Um, so I think
They were
they're
all $20 games brand new to, or like at least the first two were just $20 games. So they were at a simple price point
yeah,
for the was it 4-ish hours you're playing with these kind of games too.
yeah,
Like it's just enough to keep you. It's if you have a longer evening, you and a party can all play just from start to finish. Um, it's entertaining. Like later on, House of Ash and went up to $30, and The Devil in Me is 40. uh, Either inflation or length of game. I'm not 100% sure. Production value, whatnot. So I would like to eventually get to playing those. We'll see. I know they usually go on sale as a bundle and stuff like that often enough as well. Um, so you know, I think they're fun. But if you like these games, obviously you can play some of the other super massive games that they have in. The Quarry was the other one that, and then Until Dawn.
mm.
Uh,
Oh yeah, until
the
dawn.
the casting of Frank Stone, which is, uh, I think that you can pass on that one.
Okay.
These are also the guys doing the uh, Little Nightmares 3. So that's them.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
different kind of game. But it's at least, like if you like their because that one is kind of like mixed reviews right now on Steam. But
Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't got a chance to play Little Nightmares 2 yet, but Little Nightmares 3 was one of the games I wanted to play this year. But it's probably going to have to be put on the back burner because, well, when I learned that the developer had changed, even though it's super massive and they're pretty good, um, it's still just like, well, it's probably going to take a bit of a hit just because the first two games were a different studio.
yeah, it's they also making it multiplayer instead of single player, which also changes the vibe to a certain extent.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
I mean, like playing any of those kind of limbo-esque games, where it's you walking in a creepy world, side scrolling, and then when you have a friend near you, it does change it tonally.
Yeah,
You know, less scary just because you have someone there next to you.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's what we've been playing. Now let's get to what we've been watching. Nick, what have you been watching?
So I finally got a chance to watch a little movie called The Substance. Um, The Substance came out in 2024, like September of 2024. Um, and it's starring principally Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. And then kind of a third leg of that is Dennis Quaid, who's in it. He's not in it like very much. He's in it here and there, sprinkled in. So it's really Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley are doing all the heavy lifting in this movie. So this movie is starts with Demi Moore having had is playing a person who was a very successful uh, Hollywood actress, had a big time career, and and uh, and then sort of becomes a bit of a has been, and is kind of gets relegated to the kind of the back rooms of Hollywood, and so she is kind of told that her career,
Backrooms as in not popular, not liminal space, right?
yeah, not there is some liminality in this movie, but that's not what we're talking about here. Basically, like she's basically being told that she's being retired, essentially. She's like, well, so they're like, well, they kind of keep her around, but she's being retired essentially. So she finds this out. She kind of freaks out about it. And all of this is in the trailer, so I'm not really like spoiling anything. So she kind of freaks out about it, and then she finds out about this substance, this certain kind of thing, and she goes and gets a hold of it, and it's very strange and creepy, the like the way that it works, and and so she's like, well, this is kind of, you know like, I'm not going to trust in this, and but she ends up going for it anyway, and she she um takes it finally, and thinks that it's like fake for like a couple seconds, and she's like, oh man, I've been fooled, and then it works. And so basically what happens is she creates a second self, um and that's where Margaret Qualley comes in. So Margaret Qualley is a much younger actress in real life, and so she plays basically a person of 20 something actress who basically has all of the skills and qualifications more or less of Demi Moore's character. Um, and so Margaret Qualley um, is kind of the plan essentially for Demi Moore's character is for her to let Margaret Qualley go off and have like the acting career and kind of have it again, and for Demi Moore's character to kind of get the benefit of that, or like feel like she's like alive again or whatever. So the thing is that like they're the same person, but they also seem separate. So when Margaret Qualley is awake, for lack of a better term, Demi Moore's character is asleep, and vice versa. And then they have to take turns and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty much where I'll stop with kind of like describing stuff about the movie. Because any more than that, I'm probably going to get into spoiler territory. So that's kind of the long and short of that part. I really liked this movie. It is very much body horror. That is the type of horror that it is on its face, I guess. Um, but it also has a very deep level of, I guess, existential horror, or what is the point of life? What is the point of my life? Have I wasted my life? Is my life over? Kind of horror. And it's shot really well. The story is told really well. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, but it still feels like you need pretty much every single one of those minutes. It's like, okay, like I never felt bored. I never felt like, okay, we can hurry this along. I felt like every single aspect was there for a reason, um, and anything that was shown in the beginning was like paid off. Um, and then so it's really good all the way around. It's got like an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, 7.2 on IMDb. I think that's pretty fair. I think this is a pretty a pretty good movie overall. If you're a horror fan, this is a movie that you should almost certainly. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. You should, if you're a horror fan, you should definitely see this movie. Even if you end up not liking it, you're going to say to yourself, "Well, I'm glad I at least, it was at least an important movie to see." It's kind of like The Thing, or I don't know, like Halloween, or um, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street. Even if you didn't like those movies, you kind of have to pay your dues as a horror fan, and watch some of these. I don't think this is fits. I don't think this is gonna do that for most people. I think for most people, they're gonna be like, "Dang, that was like really good." Um, and yeah, like it's 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 written well, it's acted well, it's shot well, but the set design is also really good. The, kind of the things that they show you and the way that they show you, you can tell that it's like somebody is making this for you to see. They're not like that, they want everything to be like that, everything has a place, everything's in its place. um and yeah, it's really good overall. uh there are a lot of places in this movie though that if you are squeamish, well, if you're squeamish, then I don't really see how you're going to be a very good horror fan. But if you are squeamish, this movie is going to get you. It's got, like I said, body horror. It's got a lot of stuff that is just like, it's just it's just hard to kind of, you just kind of like there's a lot of times in this movie where I was like kind of pressed up against the back of my couch, just going like, oh, don't," and I literally had to cover my eyes. Of course, like with like one like eye open for like several scenes, because it was just like, oh man, oh dude, don't no, So I think that's a mark of a good horror movie, is when it's got you doing that.
So
Yeah, so pretty
this
good
is
movie.
I wanted to say that this is a 78 for the the user rating on Rotten Tomatoes, or
Okay.
76 user ratings, opposed to the 89 critic rating.
General. Okay. Okay.
But
Okay.
I mean the audience rating, it matches more towards the IMDb rating, but it's um solid C, is still good. And you being like, I think you mentioning how it's body horror, but then running it akin to The Thing. Granted, The Thing is like, or being saying how it should, if you're a horror movie fan, you should watch it because it's one of those, like, should be in every horror fan like repertoire. Like, if you do, like, well, if you're a horror fan and you're interested in Asian horror, then you should do, like, of course, like Junon, like The Grudge, or like The Ring. Audition is actually what came to mind with this kind of horror. um 'Cause Audition is, a classic,
Mm, yeah.
staple, and lots of physical gore and stuff like that. It's uh, all right. Yeah, I'm not the biggest Demi Moore fan, so that's one of the reasons why I would have never paid this attention, 2 cents at all. But
This is
uh,
definitely a different movie for her than like Ghost or I don't know, a lot of the other movies that she's done. G.I. Jane.
G.I. Jane.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I do think that the audience score kind of makes sense as like what do you say, 79% or 78%?
Uh, 76.
76%. Yeah, that makes sense for an audience score because I think that this is a little bit smarter horror. Um, I think that there are probably going to be a lot of people who are like, well, that was horrifying and gross, but I didn't really get it, you know? Um, I so I can see how it would go over the heads of some people, but, um, but true fans will definitely appreciate it, I think.
Okay. Uh, all right. Well, let's get to the news. So, Nick, what pieces of news you got for us?
There is quite a bit of different things to talk about. Um, Biggest thing, just kind of uh, not too long ago, this was announced that Grand Theft Auto 6 has been delayed to November 19th of 2026. So basically Thanksgiving of next year as we record this podcast. Um, and I mean, I am only a little bit surprised. I I feel like when we heard about the push to June 25, I think is what it was, um, summer 2025. I was kind of like that's sort of a weird date. It doesn't really matter because it's GTA. It's gonna sell. It's gonna break all the records no matter what day it comes out on. Um, uh, so I was like, okay, that's I guess that's makes sense, but this November date makes a lot more sense. I forget who it was, one of the executives at Rockstar or Take Two or one of those said that this should be the last push, that this should be the last uh, delay for the game. 6 months is no joke. So I guess I should say, I mean, you should always be glad when a game gets delayed, even if you don't want to be, because a delay means that it's going to be better than it would have been if it had come out. It's like doesn't feel that way, but you don't want a game to be bad when it comes out. Like nobody wants that. It just ruins your experience. It ruins everybody's day. So I think it's good. I think that that the game has to be, I mean, dang near like 95%, done. They're saying that it's being delayed to polish it to the quality that you guys are expecting or whatever. So I think that's probably a big part of it. But but yeah, I think that they're probably just like, hey, we can really make this, truly amazing. And I also kind of get it because this is going to be the GTA game for, unless there's a sea change, the next decade. I mean, the next GTA 7 is not going to come out until what, 2035 at the very earliest. I mean, yeah,
I mean, presumably they'll make another Red Dead in between, or that'll be the thing they do after
for sure. Yeah.
GTA 6. But it's going to be for sure. It's going to be the GTA of this current console generation, and probably most, if not all, of the following console generation, for
Um,
as long as it took for between the last two
bec-
installments.
because like GTA 5 initially came out in 2013. So by the time this comes out, it'll have been at least 13, probably pretty close to 14 years, 13 and a half years, whatever later. So yeah, if 2027 is when those new consoles launch, then yeah, the PS6 and next Xbox console will not ever see a new GTA, would be where I'd put my money. Um, but yeah, I mean, so all that being said, it makes sense that they're like, okay, we can't cyberpunk 2077 this. We cannot do that. We have to have this be a fully amazing single player experience and almost certainly be a fully amazing, fully realized multiplayer experience on day one. With something's gonna be broken. We're gonna have to patch something. Somebody's we're gonna have to dot some i's and cross some t's and get some bugs out of there. But otherwise, content complete and looking amazing and feeling amazing and getting tens across the board and game of the generation kind of accolades. Like they're probably like honestly, they're probably like eyeing, if not officially, then like unofficially, they're probably eyeing Elden Ring as like the game of the decade or whatever. Being like, hey, we are gonna make this amazing. So if they really are doing that, then yeah, they've got to make sure that they hit it like hit the nail on the head. But it just like because what it was like 1 6 month delay got them to June 25. Another one has gotten them to November 20. Or sorry, yeah, June 26. Another one has gotten them to November 26. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that they're just looking at it like we're definitely trying to get beyond where we think we'll be ready. So like we think we'll really be ready in September of 26, but we're just giving ourselves till November so we can really, make sure of that. It just when they chunk out like this instead of going like, well, 4 months, well, 3 months, I'm sort of like, are you guys just guessing? But anyway, so that is sort of probably the big news that's like leading um, all the news cycles right now. I think.
Yeah, I don't remember. I thought I remember hearing about this from a different outlet, and I can't find where I heard it from, but it was something. So I'm going to be paraphrasing, but it was akin to like uh them saying, opposed to, like, unlike other companies who release their games
Mm.
like sooner than should be, we want to take the time to get it right, more or less. And I thought, because I remember them uh distinctly mentioning competitors, and so I'm
Oh
like, is that a slide at Mind's Eye?
yeah,
Like, where they just doing a jab at them, because that was Ben's, right? The Benzies, like,
yeah.
they like, and so I'm like, I can see that. The other, part of the reason for, like, it's kind of timed like appropriately, which I think is, I don't think it's an accident that Dan Hauser last week also was on a podcast. And I think it was Lex Friedman.
Friedman,
But
yeah.
yeah, so on the podcast, and happened to talk a lot about um, more in-depth things, small little snippets, and like one of the things was like DLC that was supposed to be for Trevor and stuff like that. Um, so that never came to fruition. But I'm kind of curious. It's like between that new hot news coming out and then this coming out a little after, it makes sense that they would have been like, will allow you to tell that. It will allow you to buzz, for more hype and more awareness. I can see that, like, because if they tried saying anything like that, I'm like, you'd be NDA'd upon leaving a company like that. I don't care if you co-founded it. Like, there's no way they would be like, you're spilling out all our secrets without a pre-approval. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, this is once again, this is going to be the game of the generation, console generation. That is, if so long as it's equal to, if not, and they already have the online foundation, so they just need to make it better, and with not just graphical polish, but more features. And granted, I feel like every time they do an online thing, it's always on fire or like next to nothing, and then
Mhm.
they roll that out within the next couple of months, post launch. The other thing is being a weird day, like being so late in November. It's really weird. So it's like, well, they could, at best, they could be like, hey, surprise, we're releasing it earlier now. We said it was coming at the end of November, but we're actually going to move it forward like,
To,
3-4 weeks
to
or
like
something like
Halloween.
that. Yeah, or early November to to capitalize on sales. I know that's what they'll probably be pushing. Um, Being so late in November, it could easily slip to the following year. But once again, no one actively wants their game to be launched in first quarter, even for fiscal reasons. It's usually because of fiscal reasons where like we have to let this thing launch now at the very last minute. So,
Well,
uh,
I mean, like this is literally the last day that they could release to have a really good shot at Black Friday. Because this game comes out on the 19th. Black Friday of that year is going to be the 27th. So that's like they wouldn't want to launch the day before Black Friday. You want to launch at least a few weeks earlier than Black Friday so that Jimmy can come home and scream at his parents to get him something and they haven't already bought everything. It's like, okay, well, Black Friday, we're getting everywhere, we're going to do all the shopping. So, he's been screaming about this game for a year now. So it's out. Okay, I'll get that. Um, any later and you run the risk of things not coordinating properly in each 12-year-old's household. So yeah, I think this November 19th date, very last day that you can realistically put this game out in 2026 to make big bucks on it. Um, and I wouldn't be surprised, yeah, if they moved it back to like November 1 or Halloween or even like end of September. Like that's
it's not
probably
it's not going to go on sale though. That's the thing. It's there for Black Friday, but if anything, it'd be there for a Black Friday bundle, right? That's the thing
no,
they're
it
going to try
wouldn't
to
go
sell.
on sale. Like no,
But
this thing's
well,
never going on
Black
sale.
Friday isn't as important, but it is the marketing package. Get the console bundle, get the controller bundle, get whatever extra.
Like I'm
uh,
just thinking like a parent, like a parent like going, okay, we're doing all the shopping. What do you want, Jimmy? Oh, I want GTA 6. Okay. And it's like they just can't really be much later before it's like, well, we already did our Black Friday shopping. Well, we already did our shopping. Like you've got to kind of catch, Black Friday, yeah, is a day, but like the week leading up to it is also like a big thing. And they just have to be in front of that. So that might be their drop dead date. And then, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did go for like a late September. If they did say surprise, happy early Christmas, we're gonna go for an early September release and capitalize on the sales for that until the end of the year. But yeah,
all right.
yeah. There's more news from Take Two and Rockstar. Rockstar fired 30 or 40, somewhere between 30 and 40 employees for leaking company secrets in the UK. Those people are protesting those firings. They're saying that they should not be fired. They're demanding to be reinstated and given back pay. Um, and then there are accusations either by those people or by somebody else. I didn't read far enough, but accusations of union busting. That's what they're trying to do. There is what.
That's supposed to be the like the underlying reason for the firings is they weren't. It's not because of the leaks, but it's actually because of them trying to stop unionization. Yeah, that's at least that's the gist of what I got from the other outlets.
Yeah, and that wouldn't really surprise me too much. Yeah, I think this is one of those things where we've got to get to the bottom of it, or we've got to wait until we can get to the bottom of it. Um, I don't know why 30 or 40 people would take the gigantic risk of leaking company secrets. Like, I can understand one, two, a few people doing that for some extra cash or whatever. Um, but that's sort of an insane move. It's like you're gonna leak company secrets and get fired and then be out on the street looking for a new job. And the industry that you're looking for the job in, well, you just kind of betrayed that industry. So, whether or not you anybody can talk about it, people are going to talk about it. Word's going to get out. It's just like, okay, so 30 people are going to do that at your company. It seems that's like a conspiracy. That seems like what Rockstar is saying is there was a conspiracy by a bunch of people to leak company secrets. Okay. Well, it's not impossible, but that makes me rub my chin, I will say.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Once again, yeah, hopefully, hopefully the truth comes out, and hopefully we find out really what went down. I agree, though, it does sound highly suspicious when you're like, well, all these people are all leaking secrets. I'm like, well, like I said, the whole point of a leak is it's a small little thing, a trickle, as it were. Like, but that's more like a foundational crack in the dam. Like that's a
It,
levee breaking or something like that. That's not a leak. And so if that was the case, we'd have way more information
See,
than we
that's what I was
got.
gonna say. Yeah, it's like I was like maybe I wasn't paying attention, but I feel like I haven't really heard that much juicy tidbits about GTA 6. I mean, people like guess and stuff, but like legitimate news or leak news, like 30 or 40 people leaking stuff. They're not leaking anything important if that's the case. All right. So next two things. I'll do the last one, and then I'll jump up to the second to last one. Um, so apparently, in that interview, that I forget what the name of the person that you were saying just did an interview.
Uh, Lex something
Well, Lex Friedman
Friedman.
was the podcaster, right?
Yeah,
But who was the person who was
the actual yeah. You talking about Dan Hauser
Dan
his interview?
Hauser? Okay, yeah. Apparently, in that um, interview or whatever, he said that Red Dead Redemption 3 will probably happen, which is like, okay, that kind of makes sense. We've already had two that both have been big hits, and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, well, that's some good news. I didn't play either of the first two. Um, I would like to kind of be in the zeitgeist of like an RDR3, but I'm also not like a big like you know Wild West fan, and so I would entertain the idea at the very least. But yeah, so there's a little bit of news. Red Dead Redemption 3 will probably happen.
Yeah, I mean, no, uh,
Joe's
Red
like,
Dead.
this is not news. Like I knew
Yeah,
this was gonna happen.
it's inevitable. I mean, now as far as how they'll take the story, that's a difference. That's a bigger question. Because no one would have expected them to kind of do after Red Dead 1, we're like, okay, that's a one and done thing, right? And then you're like, well, we're gonna do a prequel story. We're like, wait, what? Like why do the prequel? And it turned out they did a really good prequel. So
Mm.
that's um I kind of it's one of those things that you want to have faith and you want to trust them, but also a lot of the people who were like instrumental to that are no longer there. So
Mm.
it's I think I think it's never too late to play Red Dead 1 and 2. That's what I'm gonna say. It's never too late. It's honestly, uh, they're great games. Just do that. Yeah, totally give them a try. I mean, they were good enough games for what they were. Red Dead 1 was, for the 360 was, awesome. They made it more playable on the newer consoles. You have it, so you can tweak it a little bit better or play quality of life. I think that might be the better way to play it. And uh, you could go with Red Dead 2. I'm partial to Red Dead 1 story a little bit more. So, but they're both awesome. So that's just Nick, just give them a shot. Um, I actually like Red Dead better than the GTA 5. It's just like it's the setting is different. I'm not the biggest Western fan. I'm not a big, a John Wayne fan or anything. Like if anything, I'm more of the spaghetti Western of like Clint Eastwood era. But it's kind of hit and miss with me for Westerns. But they did it really well. So I think it's worth the gameplay. Um, yeah. All right. I'll just
Okay.
leave it at that. But yeah. So Red Dead 3, yes, inevitable, and just given enough time.
All right. And then last bit of news for Take Two, a little bit of good news, I guess, is that apparently Mafia, the old country, quote, performed well ahead of expectations. So that bodes well for the series. They'll probably try to do something else with it. And yeah, that's, I think that's, I think that the game probably was not too terribly expensive to make, and uh, probably hit a good niche. Was a brilliant price point, and just overall as a package was just constructed very well from kind of top to bottom, and so that's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, it's good to hear. You're always hearing about how things never perform up to their expectations. Square Enix,
Mhm.
but but it's nice to know that they are happy with this.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Um, okay, so moving on. Some more in the news. The Texas Attorney General has begun a lawsuit of Roblox over child safety concerns. I think that's the most diplomatic way I can kind of put it. Um, this is just beginning. It's very kind of sensationalized. Roblox is saying it's being sensationalized. Um, it's another one of those things, sort of like the Rockstar firing 30 people, where we're going to have to wait until the dust clears and we can kind of see how things go. Um, I, I will say that uh, Roblox, being kind of a mostly for kids child platform, um, is by its very nature going to be a target for bad people, is what I'll say. So it doesn't really surprise me that somebody is that one of two things is true, that either there are problems and someone is trying to fix them, or the second thing, someone knows that everybody thinks that there should be problems, and so they're going to capitalize on that, and try to get whatever they're trying to get done. But
So I look at it as Roblox looks out for children, just like Twitch is concerned about the safety of their content creators. So yeah,
so just
you know,
ask Amy Rue about that.
I mean, the other, it's quite, like dating apps have the same issue where like, hey, there happens to be a lot of registered repeat offenders on dating apps, but that's because they are the ones who are willing to put in more money, more effort, and stuff like that. And it keeps the engagement high, even though they're the bad seeds. And it's just like it's terrible. So yeah, I've not been. And the thing is, Roblox recently has been sensationalized, but this has not been new take. This
Yeah.
stuff has been bad for a long time, and I knew about it for quite a while. So yeah, the fact that I did even before like years and years ago, like people have been talking about at least the exploitativeness of like child labor, essentially making the kids, profiting on the kids' work, creating their new outlet, like that kind of angle, but and people have been rumor milling about like just there's reason why like people have channels dedicated to finding terrible people on Roblox.
Mm,
Um, there's the fact that you can make a business off that. It's like that tells you that there's a deep-seated issue. So yeah, I'm hopefully more stuff comes to light, and we'll talk about it when the time comes.
yeah, yeah, we'll see. Um, all right. So next up, Nintendo stuff. Um, so Nintendo has said that they're okay with the Switch 2's price point, despite rising component costs. So some people kind of seeing the price hikes of the other big guys, or Xbox and Sony. Um, they're like, well, is Switch 2 going to rise? And um, so Nintendo's kind of reassuring people, saying, that they're okay
Like,
with it
oh,
right
we
now.
already price hiked it in the beginning, so we're good.
We pre-price hiked it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that that it's going to go up eventually, and I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. Um, it is the first year that the thing has been out, and there aren't any games for it besides Donkey Kong. Even when it is a year old in June 2026, um, it won't really have very many games for it. So to raise the price between now and then would be utterly insane. That would be a very bad PR move. So I think that it won't raise until after that. But I would very much not be surprised if we get our first tentpole title, Mario, probably, and then a few months after that, see a price hike. If not, maybe kind of simultaneously. Um, that would be that would be a Nintendo move. I feel like, um, but yeah. So I think it's coming because if it's gonna really make it like 7 8 years, um, even 7 years, I think that they're gonna have to raise the price. I think it's already. I think it's too low, um, and I think that they're going to have to do it uh, at some point. I hope not. I hope not, but I think they will.
I don't actually think it'll be that soon because I thought I remember them talking. There was articles talking about how they were uh, kind of stocking up, which is very un Nintendo like, um, and kind of anticipating the new console wave because if there's only so much fab time for them to make the chips they need and everything like that
Mhm.
while sharing the facilities with Apple and Sony, Microsoft, stuff like that. So it seemed like they were preemptively, filling, warehouses as it were, which
Because
was a smart move. And then it would prevent them from having to spend more later. Uh, the only thing would be, like, 'cause they've already bought it at this price. So if components go up, they're still safe as a whole until that stock wears out. Uh, then they'll have to worry about it. But I think their smart move to increase prices would then be to come out with an OLED or to come out with color variants and then phase out. Make the Switch 2.1 version or something like that, where
yeah,
it's just a color shade, maybe a better screen or a tweak to the buttons, and then just quickly silently phase out the old stuff and then make a whole new SKU, which is everything's almost identical, just maybe a little bit here and there different, just enough to uh, warrant that extra $50 price hike.
yeah, I think that the price hike, if it happens, will probably be kind of built into the price of like an OLED one, whereas like a $50, coming out at 500 for like OLED, that like that would be like what it maybe should be. But if it comes out at like 550 or something, then I'd have to look at the numbers again. But I would consider that to be more along like that. That's kind of a hidden price hike there. But yeah, they do have those things to fall back on, and because they're Nintendo, they will fall back on those things and make use of them. It's so they're basically, it sounds like they're betting that storage space is going to be cheaper than components as time goes on, which is why they're stocking up so much on 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 making all these switches. So yeah, I
No,
yeah,
don't get me wrong. I think if they come out with the old when they come out with the OLED, it's gonna be $100 more.
okay.
But the $50 more is just the base price, for whatever, when they replace the current base model with, whatever slightly tweaked version.
So if they do
So
like a
that
50, like a 550 OLED with a 500 base, then
yeah.
that'd
So
be sort of
I think
like a bit of give and take there.
Yeah, because right now it's what 450 not bundled.
Mhm.
So they'd end up doing like here's your color variants and slash better buttons or we tweak the battery or something. So here that warrants the $50 price hike. We're gonna screw you for. Uh,
Yeah.
and then you get that plus the OLED for an extra $100 off the original base. So I would not be surprised if they do I think whatever price jump they do, they'd be up to 500. And then we'd be lucky to get away with 550, but they could also be like, no, guess what, guys? We're going to do 100 off that base model, which the base model is now 500. So I guess it's 600 now. So yeah, just forget about what you originally paid for. But once again, I don't think that any of that's going to happen in any time, like
like
soon.
like
I think
3 years,
at the
maybe
soonest,
4 years.
so 2027 at the soonest,
Okay,
I think.
2 years. Okay.
So yeah, 2 years out, that's kind of what I think they're not going to do anything next year. Still sit strong until they get more game catalog in, and then I think it'll at the very very earliest I would predict that they would do something, you know, fall of next year, but I still think that's too early. Everything's still so fresh. I think they'll wait till 3 years out from original launch, and then they'll actually consider doing refreshes and stuff.
They really do have to wait. I think you're right. They really do have to wait until they get a catalog. They've got to get. I mean, I would say if you count, Metroid, the Metroid Prime 4 coming out, and Donkey Kong, and then a new Mario, and then I guess the new FromSoft game, and then I would say at least that, and maybe one more tentpole game before, with a lot of indies in between, but measuring it in tentpoles, probably 5 tentpole games um, before you really consider changing the price to go upward, because otherwise you're gonna have a bit of a revolt on your hands. But yeah. Okay. The other part of the Nintendo news is that the Zelda movie is now shooting in New Zealand, so it seems to be happening. And then I also saw a little bit that Nintendo was saying that they are now that they are planning to have a kind of a regular cadence of Nintendo property, TV and film adaptations be coming out. So basically, like, adaptations start to come out more regularly. So um, that will be
Gross.
interesting to see.
That's gross. Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
That's gross, man. Uh,
Um, I don't know how I feel about it.
you don't
Um,
need a cadence of any garbage like that. I mean, not saying they're all going to be garbage, but when you just like it's going to be a cadence of it, I'm like, all you do is get Marvel vibes all over again. And I'm like, and for the first little bit, it'll be good, and then afterwards, it'll just be trash.
well, I mean,
Uh,
if it's a cadence the way that like Mario is a cadence, where it's like we're going to make another one, we're always working on one or two. When they're ready, they're ready. Um, if it's like that, which I don't think that it is, but if it's like that, then good. I think you're probably closer to right, if not actually right, that it's going to be like, well, good or bad, this Mario movie will come out in 2028. Good or bad, this Zelda movie will come out in 2029. It will happen. And I mean, movies are a bit easier to make. Sorry, movie industry, but it's true. Movies are a bit easier to make than games. Like you can know exactly when the movie is going to come out, um, 3 years prior to the day that it comes out. You can know that, uh, basically beyond like any shadow of a doubt. Games, it's like we have an idea, but we're literally reinventing the wheel here. We're literally innovating here. So yeah, it that and like the Nintendo stuff that I've seen so far, which I wasn't able to get through all of the Mario movie because it's just too childish. Yeah, it's just I'm afraid it's just going to be too much for kids, and I'm not really going to be. It's not really going to be for me at all. So I don't. Yeah, I'm not really super excited about anything beyond the Zelda movie. I'm kind of like, okay, let's see how Zelda works, and then we will, and then I'll reassess.
All right. So what else we got going on?
PlayStation. So PlayStation Portal. PS Plus Premium subscribers can now stream a long list of games that they already own without being connected to the PS5 console. So the beta,
It
like,
should have been originally, right?
yes, yeah, that is one of the things that I kind of saw with this. I was like, why wasn't that just included at the beginning? I don't know, but basically, people who've been in the beta of this have had this for about a year. They're saying, but it's rolling out now to be widespread. Why it wasn't in the base initial release, I don't know, but it wasn't, and now it is. So good, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of all coincides with it all adds up. There's the PlayStation power saving mode now, and there's been tests, like to see certain games and how they run, and they're like, well, compared, I think Digital Foundry did a pretty good one running a couple games off of the power saving mode in comparison, and there's like a lot of reasons like, well, why would you necessarily run on power saving mode on a console? Because the extra 100 watts you save is kind of pennies as far as your electrical bill goes, and you're just kneecapping yourself with limited graphics or frame rate.
Yeah.
Still very playable, but it all adds up to, hey, it's meant for a handheld. If you are able to lower the watts but still make it very playable, that means it's and everything's adding up or leading to the rumored PlayStation handheld coming out in the future.
Hmm.
But also being able to tweak and experiment with their pre-existing things like the power saving mode on consoles, or in this case, streaming to a handheld device. Um, it was this device was never envisioned as that, I guess, originally, and then it's more like they're repurposing uh, the PlayStation Portal for this, which is, hey, it's great. You get more utility out of it. It's very much the PlayStation 4 being like, we got these Move controllers that no one's going to use. Let's repurpose them for PSVR 1 because why not? We're going to use PlayStation Move controllers because we have stockpiles of them, and it's just going to be garbage otherwise. And it did its job. It made it pretty well. So, uh, yeah. Anyways, so that's it's a neat feature. I'm kind of glad people have it. You could play like Ghost of Yotei on it and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't see anything that's wrong by it. I mean, because especially when that means someone can still play the PlayStation. Like, someone else can play in the household the PlayStation while you stream a game to it now. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. What else you got?
So yeah, so sticking with PlayStation, so cross buy, there was a cross buy graphic spotted where it was showing, that you could buy a a game for both PlayStation and PC at the same time. So people are hoping that this is going to be something that's going to come widespread to PlayStation fairly soon. It's, I don't really know where the graphic came from or whatever, but it was news apparently, and so hopefully that will. So a lot of people are hoping that will happen. I'm not really so concerned about that, but it will. I know a lot of people are going to be, happy to get in on that, and it'll help, Sony kind of break into that market or get more dollars from like PC only gamers or whatever. So anyway, so this and the PlayStation Portal news that we have here, I just want to kind of draw a contrast between like this kind of news and then the kind of news that we've been getting from like Xbox and Microsoft. Even if I don't really care, or I don't really have much of a benefit, or I even don't really like exactly what PlayStation and Sony are doing with these things, what I appreciate is that they are, with these moves, you can tell they're trying to give us more. They're like, we have this PlayStation Portal and we put it out and it was for one thing, and now we're gonna like add some features and we're gonna like try to put some more money into it, and we're kind of testing the waters to see if it's gonna work. But we're trying to give you more, but you have to test the waters and make sure we don't lose money. And it's like, oh, okay, I get all that stuff, but we're trying to give you more. Same with PlayStation Cross Buy. It's like, okay, we're trying, we're testing this out. There's graphics surfacing. We're getting more into the PC space. We're trying to give you more. Whereas like Xbox and Microsoft is like, we're trying to take things away from you. Like, we're going to give you a handheld that you didn't really like, that is like really expensive and you don't really know exactly what it's for. And we're kind of threatening to take away like this standard box. And we're, trying to kind of get rid of like we're killing all these studios and we're laying off all these people, and we're raising the price on our streaming service and stuff like that. And it's just like, huh, it's just it's kind of just, I just wanted to highlight again how the contrast between how one company is doing things to win hearts and minds just a little bit, and the other company is not really. So yeah.
Yeah, you have a point there. I mean, when it comes to it, though, I mean, it's at the same time we say this now, and then when everything is fully executed, they're like, and we're gonna raise PlayStation Plus Premium an extra $50 or something like that. You know?
Yeah, I mean, if they can give me more, and like while they raise the price, that's better than just raising the price. Um, you know,
Yeah, but depends on what they give you, because once again, Microsoft is like, we're gonna give you extra Fortnite stuff because all of you who have Game
yeah,
Pass obviously
yeah.
want.
I
They're
don't.
all
I
playing
don't
Fortnite.
mean technically, literally, like add a period to the EULA. Add a paragraph to the EULA, and like, oh, we gave you more now, and now we're raising the price. I mean, like, give me legitimately something that I consider to be more, and I consider to be good. I don't want them to raise prices, but at least it's like, okay, you're getting a bit more out of the deal. Um, Whereas with Xbox,
Aren't you
it's
glad that you can now play your PlayStation games on the portal that you have
don't
admittedly outright hated from the beginning?
that I
That's
hate. Yeah. So that's my point. Is like, it's like I don't really give a crap about this portal. What really helps me sleep well at night is knowing that Microsoft's margin is now like basically double what it was, because they can take away studios and like blow up, like cancel games and stuff like that, while they get to raise the price. That's what I really, whenever I lay down to sleep, I'm just like, thank goodness, Xbox's margin is better. you know
well, once again, I'm looking at it as like, playing devil's advocate. I agree though. It's nice that at least you're getting news for a change. Uh, about adding features to a thing and giving like more possibilities, more ways to play. I mean, that's kind of what we want to hear.
yeah.
But yeah, all right then. Why don't we move to the next topic?
That's a good idea. So you mentioned Square Enix earlier. So Square Enix is laying off over 100 people in the UK and an unknown number in the US. I think that has to do with layoff laws being different in each country. And they're saying they're consolidating their development in Japan. So yeah. Square Enix is always complaining about how games underperform. I forget which one was the most recent problem. I feel like it was Final Fantasy 16, though, that they said it was underperformed. I think they've said that about basically every major game release since 2010. It feels like. Anyway, so they're laying people off, and just a little bit more news along that front.
Yep. Hope everyone lands on their feet. It's a shame. There's and it's unfortunate. It's as common as anything else nowadays, which we've almost become numb to the fact that another round of layoffs for the gaming industry. It is sad, especially this time of year. You don't want to be hearing about
Oh,
that.
dude, yeah. Just in time for
So
Christmas. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Some Mass Effect news. So, uh, EA and BioWare remain committed, quote, committed to the next game. So apparently that is in some kind of works. Hopefully it's more than just the words next Mass Effect game written on a whiteboard in someone's office. But yeah, so that came out in some kind of article or interview. And then also about Mass Effect, they're saying that the TV series. So I forgot they were making a TV series. So there's going to be a TV series, and it won't retread Shepard's story, and it will be set after the original trilogy. So yeah, that's something that could be good.
I think that's the appropriate thing to do. You don't need to retell the story. That's most of these video game tie-ins. You don't need to retell the story, or like superhero adaptations.
Right.
You can tell a different story. You can continue on. You can have it be, when you have the Star Wars, thing. You don't have to make it about, the Skywalkers. You don't have to do stuff like that. You can just make a thing in the universe, or like, it can exist, separately. Unfortunately, just no one ever seems to get it right. They kind of did the same thing with Andromeda, so
Mm,
uh, I'm not gonna hold my breath, but I mean, at the same time, compared to Andromeda, set the bar so low that it's gonna get whatever. So long as it's just passable, like just an average, C, then everyone would be singing its praises in comparison. So uh, it will be a success if they don't blow budget on it.
yeah, Andromeda, like, I don't really remember what people objectively thought of the quality of the game in its right state, but I do remember there was a lot of bugs with that game and kind of serious bugs when it came out. And I do think that it was a bit half baked, and it was given to a kind of a rookie or at least less experienced studio. Um, and it just seemed like the whole thing seemed kind of bumbled, like, and fumbled. And I think that I hope that EA, um, being the overlords that they are, will go ahead and try to make the next one, like, try to make sure that they don't mail in the next one, that the next one they really try to take care of it and give it to a good, high quality, well experienced studio and launch it properly, because Andromeda, basic.
Andromeda was BioWare still. You do know that, right? I mean, it's all BioWare. So that's the thing. It's just like the BioWare of Andromeda was probably not the same BioWare of Knights of the Old Republic and every the original Mass Effect games. So
Yeah,
it's
but
still going to be BioWare, but it's just it's like the platinum game effect, right? Where platinum games, you had your A tier, your B tier.
mhm.
It's like, and then eventually just kind of depending on who you got. And in this case, you're hoping that BioWare will have enough quality behind it to really project it, up to a success. But
Yeah, no, no.
if the bugs alone were bad, the story wasn't complete. Granted, they were already planning on a new trilogy, so they were happy with leaving story ends half baked, but it was just uh, not a success in a lot of ways. So
But this is
it's one of those.
this is a situation where I blame the parents. Like, BioWare, has made mistakes. They've had bad releases, they've had bad games, but EA has a very long track record of buying studios and then buying really great studios and then running them into the ground. And they haven't done it as much. They've been better about it in the past 5 or so years, but I like I just I just don't really think that I just don't want to lay it at BioWare's feet. I want to lay it at EA's feet. It's like, okay, things were really good whenever BioWare was on their own, and then things have gotten steadily worse now that EA has gotten involved, and we've ended up at Andromeda. So, yeah, BioWare probably is on the hook for this at least some point, and yeah, they probably have a B studio that they gave it to, and all that stuff. But I just I just have to I just have to look at EA first. To me, EA has to be proven innocent rather than proven guilty.
I understand, but EA has been with BioWare since Mass Effect 2, which is when you saw the tonal shift of the gameplay itself. Uh, you know, there's been a lot, and that was just before, right around the time where EA, nominated and voted worst company multiple times running.
Yeah,
Uh, so but this is, Andromeda was before Anthem. So just to
right before Anthem, though, right?
yeah, it was 2 years before,
Okay,
but yeah, still, it was the
really?
game before.
Oh
Um,
man, was that true?
so uh,
Anthem?
yeah,
When when did that? I feel like they were on top of each other. I guess there's no way they could have been right on top of each other. Um, I have to look up the.
Anthem was February of 19, and Andromeda was March of 17. So
Okay, okay, yeah. So
almost 2 years. You got
almost
almost
two
2 years.
years. Yeah. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Man, time flies. Uh, Crazy. Okay, yeah, Andromeda and then Anthem. Yeah, I mean it's it's. I hope that they
I
go.
want to play EA too, but at the same time, I'm still gonna say it's it is very much Bioware is no longer the Bioware that I grew up with,
Yeah, that was my next point.
and
Yeah,
so it's very few companies now. More and more, it's like just like PC part companies and stuff like that. No one's innocent. No one's ever flawless. Whenever someone has the new biggest scandal or quality assurance gap or bad customer service, uh, people always jump from one boat to the other, being like, "Well, these other companies don't." Like, no, dude. If you just go back a year before, 2 years before, they were on fire prior. So like I said, very few companies still have a pretty spotless record. I think Sucker Punch being one of them for me, because what they produce is solid. Um, but for the most part, like a lot of other companies have their ups and downs. I mean, Naughty Dog for me, like they lost favor when with The Last of Us Part Two. Not saying it was a bad game, but story wise, it was a game that never needed to be made, in my opinion.
yeah.
It did not make the
I,
franchise as a whole better. So that's why, uh, but still, as a technical game, it's there's no bugs, flawless gameplay was solid. So on that aspect, I can at least trust that their game will be competent. And
yeah,
that's saying something.
yeah. That is something that's hard to remember. Is that these companies are not static. There are people moving in and out, and even after 5 years, the company looks pretty different. After a decade, it's not the same company anymore. I mean, like the CEO has probably even changed by that point, and it's different people. It's all up, in the lowest levels, it's a ton of changeover. In the medium and middle management levels, there's plenty of changeover, a lot of changeover. Upper management, there's even some changeover, and and the landscape changes, the technology changes. It is a lot. It's just yeah. All we can do is hope that they take good care of this franchise whenever they do the next stuff.
Yep. All right, then let's get on to the last bit of news here.
Okay, last thing, just a bit of a gauntlet run here on a bunch of movies and shows, news on some movies and shows. So K-pop Demon Hunters, the sequel probably won't release until 2029. I think it was Netflix and Sony did a deal, and it's good. They're making it. It's just animated movies take a long time to make, and they probably really want to make sure that the sequel is like really amazing, like because now there's going to be expectations on it. So yeah, um, that is slated for 2029. There's a new Gremlins movie that's confirmed with a 2027 release date. I didn't bother to look up what that date actually was, but 2027. And then there's a Stranger Things animated series coming in 2026. I had heard there was going to be a bunch of spin-offs, or that spin-offs were starting. Um, yeah, uh, yeah. It. I guess it's a good enough idea as at least as a moneymaker. I'll save my opinions on the way Stranger Things is going until after the show comes out, after Christmas and New Year or whatever. So yeah,
I kind of stopped watching the series after a certain point. I'm
I
like, you know, so I'm like a season and a half behind, but
I
uh, wh- whatever one they went off to summer, the one kid went off to summer camp, made a radio, and I'm like that season. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm done with this. So I
I don't
not
blame
missed
you.
it.
I don't blame you. I am literally, at the precipice. It's almost a nostalgia factor at this point. Like I don't really care about any of the spin-offs they're going to do. I mean, the animated series, I'm going to give it a shot because it's animated or whatever, or at least look at a few more trailers of it before I decide. But, you know, it's a nostalgia thing to actually watch the show uh, with the with the with the real actors. Um, because I've kind of watched them grow up. I was jumped on the show when it first came out, um, and kind of before it was cool, before it was popular. I was on the bandwagon like, hey, this is going to be a great show. Even before it came out, I was like, I think this is going to be really great. And lo and behold, it was like it was.
I don't
So
think there was a time like that. I think the moment it was like there, it was instantly beloved, and I think a lot of people really liked it from the get go. Um,
I remember seeing not even a like a motion ad, like not even like a GIF or anything, but just seeing some kind of static picture ad, at least a month before it came out, and going like that is going to be great. It was the tiniest bit to go on. I was like, that is going to be great. Um, and so, I mean, like, I don't like that's probably the only thing that I've ever, or one of the very few things in my life that I've ever like spotted and been like, that is going to be awesome. And I didn't know it was going to be a worldwide sensation. I just like, that was just like a thing where I was like, I am going to like whatever this is. And I didn't know if it was going to be, a smash hit or anything, but I knew that I would like it. So yeah, I just feel like I have to see it through. I don't think it's bad or anything. I think it could be better, maybe in some ways, and I think the way it's being rolled out is very annoying. But I just feel like I have to see it through.
yeah,
Um,
I like I said, it's one of those things that like everyone loved it at the time. A lot of people still like it. They lost me whenever 11 did her road trip thing, and that
yeah,
whole season was just kind of garbled mess. And I felt like it lost its way. Then I tried watching the following season, and I was just like, all right, yeah, you've lost me. I mean, there might be enough in it to watch, but I would rather watch bad anime at this point. So that's what I do. Yeah.
um, yeah. The road trip was definitely probably the lowest point in my mind of the series that I can think of. Um,
Okay. What else we got?
Next up, the next Star Trek movie probably won't be in the JJ verse. So Paramount has said that they want another Star Trek movie, but they don't want they don't want Chris Pine or dang it, who played Spock? I forget his name. They don't want any of those actors. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, Zach. I'm sorry. What?
Zachary Quintos, I think his name was.
Yes, Zachary Quintos. Yeah, they don't want those two guys or basically any of the other actors who were in the JJ verse movies. So they kind of had a trilogy with that. So I guess they felt like it's probably done and dusted. Um, I would like to see another Star Trek movie. Uh, I have kind of low confidence in it being particularly great. Speaking of jumping off of things and giving up on things, I have not watched really any of the new Star Trek TV shows. I've heard Boldly Go or Brave New, I think it's Boldly Go or whatever. Anyway, the newer prequel series, I've heard it's pretty good, but you know, the way that it had been going was not really the direction that I particularly wanted it to be. So, so yeah, I would like a new Star Trek movie. I'm not holding out hope for it to be particularly great.
I liked the first and third of the JJ films.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so which was, the opposite of what most people like the original films, it's usually
Mm,
the even numbers that were the good ones. I found the odd numbers of the, JJ films were all right. Uh, I mean, the third one was just entertaining for entertainment's sake. I mean, had Edris Elba in it, I believe, and that one was co-written or written entirely by Simon Pegg.
right.
Um, so it was more of a fun film, not really like it had a lot more this simple action, but at least it provided more entertainment than the drama of the second. So yeah, I think rebooting, or having its own, like that's fine. Uh, you can't really. None of the series has enough fandom to really base it off of the current TV shows, I think. So uh, I kind of don't want them to do nostalgia bait and be like, let's get Shatner and let's get you know, uh, what's that, Picard back on. Like I don't want them to just pull in people just for that like nostalgia point. I think that would be
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just there's no reason for it. Make their own thing, do their own thing. If they want to be gutsy and if they really want to spend money, then make a whole new original series. Um, but then you're gonna have to make a whole new original content, not just rehash the old episodes. Um, it's a lot of the newer stuff has not been as entertaining for me. But then again, you've done so much with the series, and it's had a lot of ups and downs. Uh, I think it's okay to start fresh with a new movie series. That's fine. Uh, Whether it's the original series or if you make it next generation, I think a lot of people would be on board with that. But then, of course, everyone's going to be nitpicking, and there's no fans are ever going to be happy with a new Picard, whoever you pick.
Mm,
So, I
yeah.
think that would be a fun challenge. I think if anything, you get the guy who played him as Xavier, who played in the X-Men
Oh,
movies.
yeah. What is his
Uh,
name?
but yeah,
Mc-
I can't remember.
McAvoy. James McAvoy. Is that it?
Yeah, I
Close
think
enough.
that's right. That is a name. I forget if that's his name. But yeah. So,
Jimmy.
that'd be kind of funny to get him. It'd be like, you played him once you already played Patrick Stewart once. You play him again. Just redo all his films and just erase him from history. Uh, Rewrite him. That'd be kind of hilarious. That's more like a Black Mirror, skit, right?
Yeah, that would actually be a pretty good Black Mirror episode. But if it was a bit comedic, it'd be funny. All right, and then last thing is that there's a rumored Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz that is in the works. So they seem to be working on that, and we'll see if it actually comes about. But it's good that it's. I think there was another Mummy movie that came out, but it didn't have Rachel Weisz in it. It had Fraser, but what I read about
Yeah, it
that.
was the third one. It was the third Mummy movie, and that one was the uh, Jet Li as the Mummy,
Okay.
because they made it the Asian mythos, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, kind of. It's one of those weird things like, you know what? It's fine, but also whenever they bring back the old, like Indiana Jones or something like that, all disheveled and like and just a big downer, what like our lives has turned out horrible. We couldn't stay those young buckish rogues forever.
Hmm.
Um, at the same, as I kind of. want it to be lighthearted. I want it to be easygoing. It's they need to retcon like at least the third one and pretend like it never happened because you're bringing
Well,
back
that was
the
what I was about to say. Is that apparently the writers of this are ignoring the third one. They're just it's like they're making a sequel to the second Mummy movie.
yeah, and that's the way you got to do it because how else are you going to explain like what happened? Why did your spouse change? Like,
Yeah.
well, yeah. So it's also it was not the best of movies. The second movie was okay, but then you had um yeah, then you can get the Rock to reprise his role as Scorpion King, right? Um,
I
do that CG
mean,
Scorpion all over again.
that would be a lot more expensive this time around. Um, than because he would actually be the biggest star, um, now. So yeah, how times have
You can get up
changed.
for a cameo. That's all. Just cameo, drop them.
That'd be
You know.
fun. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. All right. But once again, it's one of those things that with any luck, it'll come out. I still really recommend the first Mummy movie. Great drinking game. Anytime they say Nemotep, anytime Brendan Fraser reloads a gun or cocks a gun, I mean that's anytime you see a black cat. It's there's a couple more in there, but it get you real lit real quick. Eh, so okay, guys. Well, thanks for the news, Nick. And if y'all made it this far, we thank you. This has been another Dead Pixel, episode 151. Nick, what are some words of wisdom you have for the people out there today?
Um, Make sure to recycle your candy corn. It's good forever, so just put it in. Just give it to anybody, the birds, or you can put it in the freezer and it will never go bad.
I remember as a kid eating candy corn, and then someone had told me this, and we tried it. And at least we don't know. I don't remember if it really did taste like it, or if it was just a mental, implant from just hearing about it. But they said, yeah, if you eat candy corn and like salted like peanuts, it tastes like a payday candy bar.
Hmm.
And I remember trying it, being like, yeah, I think it does. But I also didn't have a payday right next to me just to compare.
But then you realize you've never had a payday.
It's just like, but yeah, so it's a fun experiment to maybe try. But all right,
I mean, I don't think I've probably only had a payday maybe once or twice in my life. So
paydays are pretty good. I found out. I actually
I'm
think
sure
they're
they're
pretty good.
I'm sure they're fine.
Uh,
But I wouldn't if somebody did that to me. I'd be like, I would like do it, and then I would realize, wait, I don't remember what a payday actually tastes like. Anyway,
uh,
yeah.
all right, guys. Well, thanks again, and until next time, y'all take it easy.
Bye.